Hello friends, it's great to have you for this next tutorial. This time I will show you how to craft the upper legs in the Fantasy Armor series, which are comprised of the cuisses and articulated knees. These can be permanently attached to the greaves from the previous tutorial. Since this project will share many of those techniques from the last video, we will focus mainly on the highlights and assembly. If you require additional guidance, please check the many previous tutorials in this series that are packed with additional tips and information. The pattern is available at princearmory.com, and the tutorial with additional info is available at princearmoryacademy.com. This tutorial is sponsored by Weaver Leather. The leather and many of the tools and materials used in this video are provided by Weaver Leather, and they can be found at their online store, which is packed full of top quality tools, leather, hardware, dyes, finishes, and so much more. They also have excellent support available by chat and phone that can help recommend the best leather and tools for your next project. And if you click the affiliate link in the description below, you can also help support this channel the next time you order supplies. The first step is to print your patterns. If you have already determined the scale from the greaves in the last tutorial, you can use that as a starting point when printing this pattern. Just remember to use a compatible PDF reader that can print tiled pages, which you'll then tape together and cut out. Always make a quick paper mock-up using these initial prints to determine if the fit is good for you, or if you need to scale the pattern up or down slightly and reprint before committing materials. When you have the pattern sized appropriately, trace them efficiently and separate them into more manageable pieces. For this project, I'm using 10 to 11 ounce vegetable tanned leather from Weaver. At this stage, I generally dampen the leather to make cutting and working the leather easier, and then use your cutting instrument of choice to make the final cuts. Then I will punch the holes. Note that the articulated pieces require Chicago screws, which call for a slightly larger hole. From here you will decide how you want to decorate the project. I will use the same simple double channel border as used on the greaves since they are paired together, but in previous and future tutorials many other options are demonstrated that you can use for your project. Then to clean up the edges, I will bevel the tops and bottoms of all the pieces, and then give a quick pass of burnishing. This is just to smooth and compress the fibers a little. I will also carve some simple decoration lines into the side fan piece. Now it's time to dye the pieces. I'll be using Phoebing's Pro Red oil dye for this. Again, this is just to match what I've already done, but past and future tutorials demonstrate other options you may prefer. The only piece that needs a little shaping is the fan piece that attaches to the sides of the knee. Just a little bit of forming to give it extra firmness is fine. For the finish, I'll use Weaver's Tough Coat. The upper legs will be antiqued later to match the greaves. To assemble the knees, you have to join all of the lames, which are the smaller segments, to the knee cop, and the lames to the upper and lower section of the leg. You also need to attach a small retaining strap along the pieces to prevent any one joint from opening too wide and leaving a gap or binding, but it will still leave enough flexibility so you can collapse the leg for storage or transport. The trick is thinking through the order of operations to make life a little bit easier, because the more you assemble, the less room you have to get in there and set rivets. There are a few options, but I suggest assembling the side fan to the knee cop first, then attaching the retainer strap to all the pieces, then attach the Chicago screws. When attaching the retaining strap, the easiest way to start is with the greaves and cuisses and work inward, then attaching the lames, then finish at the knee. This allows more access as you set each rivet. Starting with the knee and working out means a lot of unnecessary fumbling with orientation just to get at each rivet. To make things a little easier, you can just set the rivets flat from the inside for many of these steps. And if you happen to have a foot press for setting rivets, this can make things a lot easier. Assembling the knee is fairly straightforward. You just need to line up the rivets with the side of the fan piece and set the rivets. As to which side is which, I suggest having the buckles for the greaves on the inside of the legs. It'll make it more accessible when equipping the armor. And of course the fan guard needs to be on the outside of the knee. And for the cuisse, the more narrow side should face the inside of the leg. When you attach the final pieces with the Chicago screws, always remember to put a drop of glue or Loctite in the threads, or they will certainly work themselves free over time. But before you do this, do a dry run, make sure you're happy with the final result and the parts are in the right place and fit like you want, then glue. You will need at least 2 buckles for each cuisse, and I'm using a double D-ring setup for the inner knee as well as for the top portion of the cuisse. To use the double D-ring setup as you see here, you need to use leather that is both firm and supple. You can use a buckle for these instead, but the leather needs to be comfortable against your inner knee as well. Do a test fit to determine ideal buckle placement. The strap at the upper leg will help make the leg sit where you want. It will also help suspend some of the weight. When making the leg armor or any armor, one of the goals is to get the fit and function right so that the weight is distributed over as many points as possible and no single area is overburdened. You wouldn't want the entire weight of the leg armor to sit just at the base of the foot, for example. That would be miserable. So you want a good portion of the weight just to be held by wearing it snugly with good fit. And then the base of the greaves, the inner knee straps, and the upper strap on the cuisse will mainly be for positioning and a little extra support. However, I don't advise attaching this upper strap directly to your breastplate. It would normally be attached to something like a gambeson or arming jacket, or a belt worn under the armor at the waist. The last step is to add the weathering effect so that it matches the greaves. The order is different, but the technique is covered in more detail in the last video. I expect I'll be working on more advanced techniques and course videos soon, and would like to share more custom projects with you as well. As always, I'm counting on your support to keep making content for everyone, so please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And pick up the patterns for any projects you feel like trying. I'd love to see you guys in the Discord as well. I may not post much myself, but I do lurk along the way and I love seeing all the cool things you guys are doing with these patterns. Which, by the way, I think I'll do an additional tips and recap video for the full suit, and I would love to share a few pics of the things you guys have made. So please send your best images to the Discord in the designated room, or submit a picture review, or just send it to the website. And finally, big thanks to our supporters on Patreon. Academy tier supporters get beta and early access to new patterns, and any contributions go towards creation and improvement of future content. Thanks again for coming along. I'll see you next time.